everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Lovecraftian horror, Stuart Hughes.
Helena.
Person that has to deal with Helena, Adam.
Welcome aboard.
Yes, thank you for having us.
No Stefan tonight, but
no, because he couldn't play this, but he will be on next week. Because but he
Stefan,
will.
Yeah, will return in mystery game, which we haven't announced yet.
No, but we'll slowly. All right, a couple things I want to say really quick before we get into this. First, I want to say that if you guys get a chance, take a listen to Movement Radio. I think that's the name of the podcast. I will have a link in the show notes. I don't have it pulled up all of a sudden. They talk about wrestling, talk about video games, talk about pop culture. So if you're into wrestling, definitely take a listen to them. And Stu, would you want to introduce the lovely, wonderful game you picked for our week 5 Spooktober?
Sure. So we weren't playing very many typically horror games, so I decided to throw in,
thankfully,
an actually spooky game, the spiritual predecessors to the Amnesia series, Penumbra Overture. Hold for applause. Hold for people Googling what Penumbra is.
We're only doing the first game.
We're only doing, episode Overture, which is episode 1. Initially, it wasn't even meant to be a game. Initially, this was just meant to be a tech demo for Frictional. And people actually were, quite enjoyed playing it. And so it ended up being its own game and eventually kind of a series.
2-game series, but the other, and then there's a third expansion.
There's an expansion, too, yeah. And then those guys went on to make Amnesia and Soma. And basically, if you watched any big Let's Player play a game from the years 2009 to 2013, you've probably seen somebody play Penumbra.
Oh, this came out in 2007 for PC, we should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, I'd been calling it Numbra because I thought the P was silent and like pneumonia. So I feel like an idiot.
Don't be. You can just call it shit. That'd be fine too. I mean, same.
I think I'd rather have pneumonia for a while than play this game.
Let me just check. I'm just checking to see how many Let's Players have played Penumbra, because there was a period where every fucking person on YouTube was playing horror games back to back.
I think that's how everybody gets their start.
Let's see here. Looks like Markiplier's played it. Jacksepticeye's played it. PewDiePie's played it. Basically, yeah. If you've watched any Let's Player ever, then you've probably seen somebody play Penumbra.
Oh, and there will be spoilers for Penumbra story, but if we can even explain it, we'll see. But there will be spoilers, so you've been warned.
Yes, we will. We will try to talk about the story that this game gives you.
Story?
There is a story, but
there's a few of them.
Yeah,
but
there's quite a bit of story. It's just all contradictory, and but for those out of the know, Penumbra is basically Amnesia. It's the same kind of game as Amnesia. You are in a underground bunker area, and you are just trying to run away from baddies in the dark and figure out what's going on and get out. It's a very early first-person survival horror or PC horror game. This kind of set the tone for every horror, every Amnesia-style horror game following it.
Except you can fight. I think that was the only thing. You can actually fight you're not constantly running or peeking around corners. You have a pickaxe or weapon of sort.
A hammer.
You don't really start fighting until it's kind of odd. You don't really start fighting until about halfway through the game. I mean, you can fight right from the beginning. You got a hammer, but
yeah, I was throwing punches right off the bat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't start fighting until the halfway mark. Then I just start killing everything.
I just jumped a lot and ran for my life.
Yeah, a lot of running in this game. A lot of running, a lot of hiding, a lot of peeking around corners, watching the screen turn blue.
I just got to say, if anyone dead sends me a letter and tells me to go somewhere, I am not opening that letter. Return to sender. Done. That's all that.
I was gonna say I've seen this style before. Silent 2, now Penumbra. You're dead. I don't know how you got a letter, but it's for all I care, spam. That's it. And
it's funny too, because the whole game starts with this monologue by Philip Buchanan, who is a professor from a school that specializes specifically in both physics and linguistics. And he gets a letter from his dad. And for some reason, he shows the letter from his dad to a linguistics expert, because I guess if you're a physics expert, you can't read.
Well, yeah, there's only symbols in physics. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. It's like, well, I showed one of my fellow scientists from the ladder department to see if they could figure out what he was saying. And it's just like, it's a letter, dude. Like, have you never, like, I get you're a physicist, but have you never heard of a letter before?
It's a letter from a dead man.
You know, it was a different time. It was 2001 when this game takes place. You know, people weren't sending letters anymore. It was very odd.
So I don't want to jump too far into the game, but did anybody else find the blank note underneath the miner hat?
Yes.
I did because of my guide.
But can somebody just explain to me what a blank note is? Isn't that just a piece of paper?
It's just a piece of paper, yeah.
Okay.
It's just in any horror game, there's no such thing as a piece of paper. There's only notes.
Okay.
I don't
since now.
I don't know why that is. In any horror game ever, you're never gonna find a piece of paper. You'll only ever find a note that isn't a note yet.
Yeah. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. I love that. That's
Nothing
like
in this game makes sense.
I love that trope in horror games. Like, so you just find notes constantly. I guess you could say like Resident Evil and Silent Hill were the big, like, beginnings of that. But just the idea of like, I mean, you find so many notes in this game where it's like somebody's about to die. Like, you find a note on one guy he's like sitting at the edge of this like frozen underground lake, and he's just describing in great detail how he's about to die and how he came to be dead. It's like, if I was like bleeding out and freezing to death, I don't know if I would really write half a novel sitting down. Like, well, nothing better to do. Let me go into this with excruciating detail.
Or the miners that were just very verbose and eloquent.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think about miners.
Yeah, me and Helena for about a solid 10 minutes was reading these notes, and then halfway through, I would just yell in a minor voice, Frank, you got that hammer? Oh, and by the way, on the December 24th, I saw my friend, while quite perished and scared, the mine had caved in. Frank, I said the hammer, not the screwdriver. Now, where was I? I apologize to my readers.
Well, to be fair, that's how people talked back in the early days of 1972.
Yeah.
Back in 1972, everyone had this Shakespearean wilt to their voice.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could ever imagine.
He appeared in the dark, grasping a frozen metal rod.
I didn't read it.
For what purpose is that?
I swear to God, Frank, you don't bring me that hammer.
Yeah.
I just skipped all these notes. I was like, oh, pick up a note and keep going. I just did not care.
The notes have a lot of information in them that's actually...
But that involved me having to play the game longer. That wasn't the option I was going for in this.
Yeah, there's 3 pages on how to start up a generator.
Yeah, oh my God, that's such a long process.
And it's like, okay, I get it. You teach me Morse code too, but I only need to know the numbers.
No, not Morse code. This game doesn't do Morse code. It's Morse code in this game for some reason.
Yeah, there you go.
I guess Morse code was trademarked, so they had to rename it Morse code.
Also, artifacts, I think, was spelled a little weird.
Yeah, it's spelled like the old English, like artifacts, like antechamber.
Once again, 1974 was a different time.
It's a different time, yeah. Just go like listen to any like Earth, Wind, and Fire CD, and they just sound completely different than how we talk today.
I think that's why I never got into Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, any disco.
I didn't understand what they were trying to get across.
I could make a comment, but I will not.
Say we should down on this evening tide.
I just gotta. Well, one thing I will say that I hate any game where I have to like pick up stuff and it's like has like a physics based. I don't like first person shooters with physics based. I pick up a rock, and as soon as I pick up the first rock early on, I'm like, oh shit, this kind of game.
It's a good thing we picked a game that was entirely designed to test a physics engine. Because anytime you have a game like that, and I know I'm going to carry stuff around and do dumb things like that, I'm not happy. Then when I found out there's jumping puzzles in the first person shooter, there's nothing I hate more than jumping puzzles when I'm in first person. Some of them are really hard to. Some of the stuff is like you have to find fuses. Talking about the generator, part of the generator puzzle is you have to find these fuses, and they're nowhere to be found. You find a note that's like, haha, we screwed old Hank over there and put the fuses on the top shelf since he's so short. And so you have to stack these tiny little cardboard boxes on top of each other and get a broom and jump on the boxes and sweep the broom and knock the fuse off the shelf and then figure out where the fucking landed in a dark room.
You know, I just got now that the Frank was a joke to that, wasn't it? Huh. That's what I get for not reading any of those notes. I was like, why did you say Frank for?
I think his name was actually like Tom or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I don't know the miners' names. I was just saying Frank.
Well, they aren't miners, as we find out later, or they aren't your typical miners.
So I don't want to like ruin like a part of a puzzle that you did, but if you just prodded the top shelf with the broom instead of like sweeping, just you do the back and then forward motion, you didn't have to stack boxes.
Oh, well, fuck me. I spent so long stacking those damn boxes.
Because I heard you say that, I was like, I just poked it.
The boxes for some reason, the boxes don't say fragile. They say, be careful.
Oh, yeah. Once again, Fragile's trademarked.
They've got be careful in black duct tape stamped on the side. Be careful.
That's what they said in the 70s.
Be careful.
Before Fragile came.
Fragile was too fragile was too much of a slang word for them back in the old days.
I was closer to the 80s.
Well, you also get, talking about the notes in this game, you do get a sense of like weird time periods in the notes, because some of the notes are listed as late as like 1990. Well, actually, you find a note from like present day from 2001, but we'll get into that later. You find a bunch of notes that are like from 1990, although the year isn't written as 1990. It's written as Anno 9000 because there's something weird going on with these weird people that were mining in here. Then you find other notes from like 72 and other notes from like World War II era. And then some notes are listed as just like apostrophe 78 and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's like 1978. But I think those are from like 1878. Like, I think those are to imply that people have been here for quite a long time in this mining complex.
Oh, and we hadn't said yet, but you're also in northern Greenland somewhere,
yes.
In the middle of nowhere.
You're in uninhabited northern Greenland.
You take a freaking boat to get to.
So he gets off this boat and then he just happens upon this mine, and it end up being where he was supposed to go, or did he just happen upon it?
He gets so the whole setup for this game is it's like 20 minutes of exposition in the beginning. It's like a Metal Gear game almost, where you get this note from your father who left before you were born, and then your mom died. And so you're like all alone, and then you get a note from your father 30 years later that says like, son, I am died. Please come to so-and-so location, or don't go to so-and-so location. Don't ever go there for any reason. Burn all these documents. And you're like, well, obviously I'm going to this location. Like, first of all, if you send somebody a letter that says never go here, the first thing they're going to want to do is go there.
That's fair. Hey, don't push the red button.
That's like the start of every horror movie ever. Like, oh, don't go to the Jameson house up on the hill at midnight on Tuesday. And they're like, well, I know what we're doing fucking Tuesday at midnight. Every horror movie starts like that.
I would just love for like one of those like Far Cry 4 options where you just turn around and don't go, and that's the end of the game.
That's it.
Like life after that.
Or he rips up the letter because he sees it's not from somebody he knows, and he's like, well, it must be spam.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going there, obviously. I was told not to.
Stupid junk mail.
Yeah.
I would have liked the game a lot more if that was the game. Just him sitting at home. It's been a lot better.
Just sitting in his office, his stuffy old physics
playing
office.
With physics, just moving stuff around, putting the papers in the... Yeah, I've been much happier.
I do like that he's a physics professor, because it explains that, oh, this is like so many of the puzzles in this game are physics-based. Although they're all so simple that it wouldn't take a doctor of physics to figure them out.
I'm just going to put this board over this electric fence, and we're good.
Oh, how do I figure? Oh man, if only I had studied more in physics, I would know how to turn this valve.
I would have never got anywhere without the guide in this game, though. I would not have figured out those puzzles. My brain was not even thinking like, oh, break down the boards, put the boards over here. I don't think that way.
Jump over. You got to click on everything and like inspect it, because you get the notes for the board, and it's like, oh, these boards they've been sitting out for a long time in this dank cave, so they're very soggy and soft. Like, well, I'll just break them with this hammer.
I didn't do any of that.
Using a saw to cut a board when you could just easily like reach your hand through the gate and just pop it open.
Yeah. Or use a pickaxe or hammer, which you've been doing up to that point in the game.
I think I had 2 sticks of dynamite at that point also.
Yeah. This game teaches you how to make dynamite, which is fun.
Yeah. It's a very in-depth note, 2 pages long.
Yeah. It actually teaches you how to make 3 different kinds of explosions.
This game was
don't Google it.
The game was interesting because you could really go out of sequence, but still hit the same result. Because like we didn't use a guide, we just kind of winged it. And
impressive.
Not really.
I'm impressed a little bit.
Thank you. We are very impressive. Yeah, but you could really just it was kind of the Wild West where you could kind of just fake it and it would kind of work out.
It's weird, I think, how we approach this game as for the puzzle elements, because there were times when the first cave, you have to put that ladder. There's the ladder, and then you got to put it up. As a joke, I grabbed the ladder, and I was like, this is companion ladder. Companion ladder's coming everywhere with me. And I was putting it up and using it as direction points in the cave. So, like, I would walk it, put it down where I came from, and we were just joking. And then at the end, companion ladder helped me out because I needed it.
Just snap right to the ladder thing.
Exactly. And the same with the poking of the broom of the fuse. I was like, I had the broom, I saw the fuse, and we were just joking, trying to like get through this game. And I'm like, I'm just gonna poke you. And it came flying off the shelf. And so I think the logic behind our puzzles was trying to make ourselves laugh and just do stupid shit. And it paid off way too well.
I like how you play this game essentially like Dustin from Stranger Things, just lucking into solutions. Oh, hey. Hey, guys, I'm going to bring this ladder with us. Click. Oh, hey. All right.
Those are actually better. Like, I was reading the guide the whole time. Like, everything, do this, move this, do this. And there's something in the guide that didn't even make sense. I had to watch a YouTube video. I couldn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, that's
I don't like this type. I'm not good at problem solving in these type of environments. Plus, I hate it. I wanted this game over with, so that was part of it too.
Well, you must have. Yeah, I can't imagine you playing like there's a part in this game where you come across a hole or a closed off hole in a cave, and you have to make dynamite and put it in like you have to get a dynamite barrel, put it in there, make a fuse, and light it and explode it. And the entire time,
I wouldn't have figured out.
Yeah, the entire time there's one of the infected dogs, which is one of the enemies in the game. It's like a zombified dog that's just wandering around with you. And you like I avoided it. I didn't attack that thing because I think at that point I only had the hammer and I didn't fight anything with the fucking hammer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the hammer.
It was a lot of hiding and throwing beef jerky and dragging stuff very quietly behind boxes. It's a lot of pressure.
I didn't even know about the beef jerky until the end of the game when I was reading the guide. Really? Said, you can throw beef jerky. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. When you pick it up, it says like not without aroma. Yeah, you can.
But you got to read stuff. I threw it once, and the dog looked at it and looked at me and attacked me. So I never used it again.
The dogs in this game are so creepy. I love them.
I just hit them with it. Just
it's just like when you
even with the hammer and pickaxe, I think it was almost the same amount of hits to kill it.
Yeah.
Like I don't really remember much of a difference.
Like as long as you get a hit on them, they fall over, and you just have to wait for them to stand back up. And then hit them again. They fall over again. You can just
which is definitely not how it goes in real life.
No, yeah.
You have like a 5-6 hits on a dog before they're done.
Now, usually in real life, if a zombified dog is trying to kill you, you think, "Oh, there's a dog," and by the time you think that, you're dead.
Yeah.
But going back to that, the dynamite TNT barrel. How long did it take you to find that one barrel to dip that string in? Because it looked like every other barrel that you came across in that whole time.
Oh, not long. I inspected like every single thing in the game, and so I think when you find that one specifically, it says like, "Oh, this one's still got gunpowder in it." So it didn't take me that long.
Like I didn't even look at it. Like we went into that room 3 different times. It was just a barrel, so I never even tried to inspect it. And then eventually, I think that was the only time we looked up on the guide. Like, all right, where the hell's the gunpowder?
The hard part is when you find the actual thing of gunpowder. It's like a barrel with gunpowder in it. There's a barrel of dynamite and a barrel of gunpowder, and you know that you need to take this string and combine it with backstring or whatever.
Yeah.
To get like sticky and then roll it in the gunpowder. And you find a barrel full of gunpowder, and so I stuck the string in the backstring. I got it all sticky. I was trying to use it on the barrel. It's like, this is not working. This is not working. I didn't realize that you had to break the fucking barrel of gunpowder open so that the gunpowder's on the ground, because obviously you'd have to, because the instructions said roll it carefully in the gunpowder, not stick it in a barrel full of gunpowder.
Didn't we just stick it in the barrel?
Yeah, we stuck it in the barrel.
What the fuck?
You're not supposed to be able to. I had to break the barrel open too.
Did we break the barrel? Fuck, I don't remember.
No.
Did you play like a
This game was not memorable.
glitched easy mode version of the game? What the fuck?
Oh no, we were playing it on easy. So all right.
Same.
All right, so we went through and played it on easy mode because we're like, all right, let's play it. We both have very hectic schedules. Yeah.
We also had very high expectations for this game. We were both really excited to play it. So it was,
creators of Amnesia. How could this go wrong?
No, this is like the prototype. This is
fair, and you see a lot of it like rolling over from that, and that's the only credit I'll give it due.
Yeah, this game is very much Frictional Games' like first attempt to make an Amnesia style game, and I think to their credit, I think this is a good game. I remember when this game came out, people were I had a friend that was like losing his shit over it. He's like, "Oh, I've never played a physics horror game like this before." I was just freaking out about it. So he was pretty excited when Amnesia came out, and it was 100 times better. But this was like their attempt to put the pieces together and figure out how to make that style of game that has really caught on.
And that's fair. It was like one of the first ones like this, if not the first, correct?
Yeah, oh man, I don't know if it's the first ever, but it's early.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. When I was playing this, it made me, and I can't remember, I think it was Game Informer, like the first time that Alien game used 2 analog sticks, first person shooter, and like being able to move your body and control your head at the same time. This will never catch on. It was an absolute horrid control scheme. And that's how I felt. I was like, man, if I didn't play Amnesia and this was the first time I ever tried this control scheme out, I would have been so mad.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, but
I didn't hate the controls. But
odd.
It took me 5 minutes to get into that ice vault because I couldn't move my mouse in the right direction to like open the ice vault. So like I kept throwing rocks at it, and I kept twisting the handles again, and I'm like, all right, I know we're good, but it.
The ice vault where you just step off the ship into the frozen wasteland and immediately hypothermia starts setting in.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how this game starts. You find your dad sends you a letter. You go to like a bank vault. It's got all these instructions, and it's like a year later, I was on a plane, like leaving my life behind entirely to go find this random thing out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like I was on a boat for so and so months, and you are reading the fucking. One of the things you can do in there is that's like the tutorial room. You get your flashlight, it teaches you how to open shit. You can open a chest and read like a note that some fisherman's wife left him, which feels very sketchy. It's like, why am I reading this? This isn't for me. Why am I stealing this guy's note from his wife? He's gonna get back home and she's gonna be like, "Did you read the note I sent you?" And he's gonna be like, "What note?" You just fucking pocket it. You just pick up this loving wife's note and pocket it, and you're like, fuck that guy.
Pocket everybody's notes. That's what you do in this game.
Screw him. I mean, they were so kind to boat me out to the middle of nowhere, but fuck him. And you step off the boat and immediately you start freezing to death. And your first thought isn't, I should get back on the boat. It's, I'm going to keep going until I find something.
It'll be fine.
You start running off until you find a little hatch you find a hatch in the snow. And it's like, I need to go down here or else I'll die of hypothermia and starvation. It's like, dude, you've been off the boat for like 20 minutes at most.
He's been living the high life of being a physics professor. He hasn't learned survival skills yet, like, eating before you disembark and
he
stuff
didn't eat the entire time he was on the boat. He got sick of fish day one. He was like, fuck this. There's going to be food wherever I'm going for sure.
You can tell he's not from Minnesota because he lived in Minnesota. Like, this is nothing. Nice weather.
He's a physicist from the Caribbean.
Shorts and
give me some mayo, give me some snow. I got a salad.
If I ever visit like northern Canada, I'm just gonna start breaking into everywhere I see. Just like, I'm dying of hypothermia and starvation. It's like, dude, we've been outside for 5 minutes. It's too much. I can't handle it. I need to break into this abandoned military bunker.
It didn't happen, but there's a guy I used to work with. He was from Georgia, and he came here, and he was living here. In his first winter, he's like, "What the hell is wrong with this place?" I'm like, "Welcome to Minnesota." He was not happy when he got to see 10 - 10 and everything for the first time. He was not happy. Not happy at all.
Did y'all see any snow this week, by the way? I know I'm trying to divert. Okay,
a little bit. You're good. Not much. Thankfully.
It got like 50 degrees here, and then a storm came, and now it's 80 degrees again. So. That's what Virginia Beach weather is like.
Oh, you're in Virginia Beach?
Yeah.
We're only 3 hours north of you.
I know, Helena. I've talked about this. I think Helena actually knows some people that I know.
Wild. It's a small world.
It's a very small world. Except for Mike.
There was one part. There's one part that made me want to just. I texted Stu and I was like, I think we're done with this game because I don't think I'm going to be able to play it. There's a part where you have to go in a tunnel, and I've been getting by the puzzles. I've been doing okay. I got the pickaxe. I'm going through a tunnel, and all of a sudden you get to this area where you see the little like alien eggs, and these little fucking little spiders pop out. And no matter what I did, I'd run to the tunnel, hit the rocks, get through one rock, start to die, eat some medicine, go to the next rock, and then I could not do it. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong here? And I sent him, and he's like, are you using the flashlight? And I'm like, what? And
I said, do you have a light? And Mike said, yes. And I said, use the light. That was the only advice I gave him.
And then I put the flashlight on, and the spider goes the other way. And I'm like, fucking piece of shit.
Well, Mike, if you had read the notes, you would know that the spiders don't like the lights. Because
you didn't even have to read the note. You had to read the table carving as soon as you went.
I didn't read anything. I just went through this game as fast as I could.
Yes. I actually quite like that. Oh god, this part of the game is so fucking. This is like legitimately one of the creepiest parts of the game. I think before you have to go into the spider cave, you are in like a maze-like mine shaft, and this is like your first interaction with a monster. There's a monster. There's something in this maze with you, and you have to. It's it's initially one of the dogs. Is in like the maze with you. You hear it, and you go into this little room with 3 doors, and if you go to the center door, you can hear somebody behind the door making a shitload of noise and asking like, who's there? Are you back? Who is that? That part to me was like
Red.
That is that's I think his official name is the Spider Hater. Because he's freaking out. Then you go into like one of the side rooms, and there's a little like cave entrance, and so you can go down there, and that's how you get to his room. But when you go down into the caves, you find like a desiccated body and a note. You find a desiccated body, and then in another place you find a note that's talking about the spiders are this guy who's like been in this room for 30 fucking years. He survived in this cave for a long ass time. And you're like
eating the spiders, right? That's the one note I did read.
Yeah, my first thought was like, how? And then it's like, I'm out of food, even though there's beef jerky in the room right next to him. It's like, I'm out of food. So I had to eat one of the spiders. They're surprisingly delicious. And he just details how he goes and eats these spiders and how he's capturing the spiders and how the spiders are getting bigger and bigger. And he's like a little disconcerted by that. And he's like, thankfully, I've discovered that when my flashlight batteries died, I've discovered the creatures start coming out. They're easier to catch. At some point, he says like, he like lays out his plan. He's going to go down there and turn his lights off and let the spiders come to him. And that's when you find the dead body. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's awesome. I love that kind of stuff.
I read that note too, and none of it clicked.
Yeah. Did y'all read the note where he cut his tongue off?
Yes. And you can find his fucking tongue too.
Yeah. How long of a tongue did he have?
It's a huge tongue.
2 feet long.
Well, I think it's implied that everybody in there is, because you don't see any people. You kind of interact with him. You just hear him. You don't actually talk to him. And Red, who's talking to you, is like the only normal sounding person.
I think,
but it's kind of implied that everything that exists in this mine shaft is mutating.
Well, you see the shadow of somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you see Red's shadow at some point.
Well, yeah,
and, the like when you come back out of that cave, you hear the guy in that room get like. Something breaks the door down. Actually, no, you're underneath of him because this reminded me of a chapel in Fallout 4 where you fight the Deathclaw. You are underneath his room and you hear something crash in, grab him, like rip him apart, and you just see like the footsteps above you. That was so creepy to me.
And that was like early on in the game, and I think I was like, yeah, I got high expectations. Like you're starting this, like I'm good, and then it dropped.
I'm going to go on record and say, I think Frictional is bad about maintaining atmosphere. Yeah. Like Amnesia is great when it starts. And there's a water level amnesia that is like the creepiest fucking thing ever. Where you're fighting, there's an invisible monster chasing you through water and you can just see the footsteps. But past that part, the game like completely loses all. It's like the BioShock problem. Like you get to a certain point in any BioShock game and you are so familiar with the world that it can't scare you anymore.
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate.
Yeah.
We can talk shit about this game all you want. You ever bring BioShock up into this again?
I mean, there's a point in the first BioShock where that game slows way the fuck down, and it's like, now I'm just here. I just want to leave.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I just want to get the fuck out of here. Even BioShock 2 has a point where you're like, I just want to get the fuck out of Rapture or wherever.
Never played BioShock 2.
Really?
I want to. Yeah, I need to play it someday.
I
do want to say that with this game, I actually had headphones in the entire time. And I listened to everything. I creeped around most of the game until near the end. But there were a couple times when my Tiff's dad walked up and started talking to me. Also, I just jumped out of my chair because someone spoke next to me. And I'm like, oh, God, what's going on? I was terrified of this game. Like, I'm sitting here on my little guide, open on my phone, reading the guide, watching where I'm going. Oh, I fucking hated this. Hated it. I'm so done with horror games right now. I'm just done.
Yeah, so, I knew this one would freak you the fuck out.
What's up, Adam?
I said, so Outlast?
Yeah, that happened to me.
I like horror games. I never played.
The first time I played Outlast, previous guest Sam was standing behind me, and somebody said something in the game, and it came from behind me, and so I thought it was Sam, and it freaked me out, and I took my headphones off, and I was like, "Don't try to freak me out." And he's like, "I'm not saying anything," and then I got attacked, and I like freaked the fuck out. Stop trying to fuck with me. It's like, I'm not saying anything.
I gotta say, the atmosphere in this game I did like the atmosphere. I do like the way the game makes you feel. I just don't like the gameplay. But like the sneaking around when you go in crouch mode and then all of a sudden he starts to like accommodate to the darkness. That was cool.
Yeah, I almost wish this game didn't have any combat in it. Maybe even like maybe at all, but at least not until the very, very end. The fact that you can start fighting stuff kind of ruins the atmosphere. I think if you had to hide the entire time, it'd be way better.
Well, in the end, I figured out I could just run and jump over the dogs, and they weren't a problem anymore. So the fear started to go away.
The problem with the dogs is if they howl, if you hear them howl, they actually call more dogs into the area to come get you.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you can... that we discovered early on is that you could fight them, and if you knocked them down once, you got them in a loop.
Yeah, you can stun lock them so easy.
Yeah.
See, I tried that, then he ate me. So I didn't try again.
The problem is, like, if you miss, because they run at you and bite you once and then run away and howl. And if you miss the first hit, then they get that run off and howl, and you can get really fucked. You'll still get through the fight, but you can take a beating.
Whoever gets the first hit is the one who's going to win, basically.
Yeah. It's jousting. It's basically jousting.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to get back to those fucking spiders. I have not been that upset with a game in a long time that I was in that tunnel because I just could not do it. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? Did I not have enough items? And I was not happy.
All spiders in games are afraid of lights.
Yeah. The spiders were okay, but my question about the other insects in the game.
The worms or the slugs?
Worms.
Yeah.
Not.
Like nothing really happened with them. It was just there are worms.
You ran from worms.
Yeah.
You found a dissected body. And maybe this goes into lore in the next game, but
it does.
Yeah, I was gonna say out of all the notes we found, there wasn't one damn note about a worm.
So yeah, there's a note in the very beginning of the game of some guy talking. It's one of the miners who's not affiliated with. Okay, so there's like three groups of people in this game in the notes that you come across. You're coming across regular miners that were just in here mining for some kind of ore. I think they were in there. Well, first the notes you come across are like World War I, World War II soldiers that are there for some reason, like holding it down from the Germans and maybe some other stuff going on. You find those, and then you find miners that were in there mining ore after the war. That's a hard sentence to say. And then the third group you come across is the archaic miners, which is a different group. So yeah, one of the notes very early on is from the regular miners that says like people in the area have reported ships, but we haven't seen these ships, and they talking about how people don't want to come here because of some like Inuit ghost story about like Great. And it's just a throwaway note in the very beginning of the game, but that becomes important for the lore in the second game in the expansion. That like answers all the questions about what the worms are and what's going on in this little bunker.
So how many of y'all are going to play the second game to finish up? See what happens. That's my question.
I've played all of them before.
Only way I'm ever playing the second one is if one of my co-hosts decides to be an asshole to me and put it on the list. Otherwise,
I mean, it's going on the list.
No way.
Hold on.
It's going on the list because the second game actually legitimately has a really cool sequence that I don't want to spoil for anybody.
I'm checking my library. Yeah, all right. I got Requiem. It's there. I got Black Plague and Requiem.
I think
Black Plague is the one we would do next.
I think Black Plague is the one where you're actually interacting with other human beings too.
And that's Black Plague is also the one when we first picked this game, we looked up screenshots and we saw naked zombies with giant dicks hanging out, and that's why we picked this game. So I thought it'd be hilarious, and that turns out that's the second game.
That's the second game.
Helena.
Yep. That's when you start finding out that Tomb Great, or whatever you say it, is real, and that's these. You find notes from the archaic miners that are like, they start talking about the caste, the elevated caste and the lower caste.
Yeah, which is a really interesting, like, what I wanted from this game. So there was one developed character, and that was Red. Yeah. And he was an incredible, like, amazing character, and it just so interesting. But the two things I really wanted was the protagonist. I wanted any kind of development with him, and there was just like nothing. Like, they could have done so much with him seeing things from his childhood,
right?
Like in the mines, or going into like psychosis.
They set it all up from, like, in the beginning, they set it up as if it's going to be this crazy story about him, like, learning about his dad and figuring out all this stuff that happened to him. And then when you find the artifacts, they, like, give you little flashes of visions about your dad. And you're like, oh, is this going to be something? And it just ends up being nothing.
The save points?
Yeah, I was going to say, how long did it take y'all to figure out that those were save points?
Thankfully, I played this game before and knew. But
I was hitting F5 like every 10 minutes, like out of instinct, and realizing it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
So the second thing I wanted from this game was them to talk more about the lives of the people in the mines, or to like find more information about like what they were using and like the tools they had and all that. But it was just it was just nothing.
In defense, when this game came out, it was a tech demo, and then they said, let's make it a full game. And they initially had planned for this to be a full trilogy. And it was going to be episode 1 was setting all this up. Episode 2 would have answered a bunch of questions, and episode 3 would have been this big, like, climactic ending to the series. And they did episode 1, and they eventually did episode 2, and they were like, we're not going to do episode 3. We'll just do an expansion. They kind of like gave up on it.
Yeah, but you know, they could have had this episode 1 and then like shorten the gameplay by like several hours and still hit the same facts.
It's hard to do sequels in horror in general. It seems to be incredibly hard to do horror sequels in games specifically.
But if you know you have a 3-part series coming up, that means you've got the story written out. Like
well, I don't know if they had that far figured out. They just
that's fair, because the ending, I don't know when a certain movie about witches upon the Blair came out, but the ending
definitely came out before this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Came out in like the 70s. Actually, it wasn't that old. I think it was 90s.
Oh, I was around.
When the hell did you watch Blair Witch Project? Oh God,
it was 99. I thought it was early 90s. I forgot it was 99. It came out kind of late.
Yeah,
he's a baby of the group, by the way, too. So,
well, some of us just watched Cannibal Holocaust instead. You know. That's where our found footage.
All right.
Started.
All right. Well,
not with this Blair Witch bullshit.
But no, that even knowing that they're like, they state this is a 3-part episode type thing, that ending, I don't know if we're there yet and talking about it.
We can, not really, but we can.
It did.
This is all over the place. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it. We
haven't even really talked about the beginning of the game yet.
We did.
We got off a boat. We got hypothermia and jumped into a mine.
There is one thing that I do want to mention that we hadn't really talked about yet, is besides this I hate the fucking spiders, like there's a giant worm that chases after you, and like we mentioned in like only a couple scenes.
A Toon Great worm. I don't know how to say it. Toon Great.
No.
It's a tapeworm.
Well, the worm is. Yeah. I mean, one part you open a door, run back, jump over a thing, and he just goes down the hole. It's no big deal. But it's that second part near the end where he's fucking chasing after you. You have to close doors behind you, hit a button to shut the gate. I was fucking terrified and
you
not
have to
happy.
move. There's like acid on the ground. You have to move boxes so you don't fall in the acid.
I died a bunch of times in that part too.
Yeah, that part is genuinely tense.
And one thing we hadn't completely, we talked about, the guy Red that's talking to you, is you pick up a radio at one part and he's having a one-way conversation with you. You're not talking. He just keeps telling you things and somehow knows where you are at all times in the game, which I don't understand.
Well, he's got I like Helena. I think Red is a phenomenal character because they actually go through the effort of explaining everything about Red. He's got like a radio set up with him, and he's got like all the blueprints for the base, and he talks so strange. He talks very like Shakespearean and odd. And he's clearly insane.
He's the one that sends you in the damn spider tunnel for no reason but to make me want to take this game off the list.
He sends you to punish you.
We already had it on there.
He wants to give you like a baptism by fire to like.
Yeah, now that we've done that, we can be friends. Like, let's. Yeah.
He needs to know that you're capable so that he can trust you. He also doesn't think you're real at first because he's been in this cave for a long ass time.
Since he was 14.
That's my favorite note in the fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed a lot of story by not reading anything because I just
you really should have read everything when you got to at some point in the game. So Red's talking to you for like the whole. This game's like 5 hours. The last 3 hours you are talking to Red over the radio. He is just constantly giving you information. He's sending you like Morse code and helping you out, giving you like conflictory information and just going insane. And at some point you come into a room and he's like in an incinerator and he wants you to incinerate him and kill him. Because according to him, suicide is against the rules. So you have to kill him. So you pull the switch and he like burns to death very dramatically. You never see him, by the way, in the whole game. You never see him. You just hear him freaking out in this incinerator. Like, I guess he didn't realize how painful being burned to death was.
Also, there's crosses on the floor in front of the incinerator, which
Well, I was about to bring that up. So when it goes into that whole angel demon, the turn gates and the whatever, they start mentioning that the only thing was Christianity and God.
Yeah.
Like and so crosses and that suicide is not
against the rules.
Yeah, against the rules. Like Red somehow found Christianity at the age of 14 in Greenland in 1974. Okay.
Well, that's when you come across his room. His room is like he had a couple of books with him when he got caught. You find a note that's explaining what happened. And he just wandered into this off-limits part of the cave one day, and he was just wandering around in there, like, exploring. And the miners sealed the cave because they knew shit was inside. There was a cave in it. They sealed it intentionally because they were like, there's monsters in there, which didn't stop the monsters from getting them because that's a whole other thing. But he was locked in there from the age of 14, and all he had with him were some books. And so he was, like, reading, like, the Bible and, like, Dante's Inferno and a bunch of Shakespeare and collecting all these books and like documents throughout the base and putting them all together. And that's all he knew from the age of 14 was just him going over these books and documents over and over and over again. Just so he didn't like lose his mind, which he clearly did, but that was his attempt to stave it off. So I love that part of the game because it explains his weird character, his obsession with like Christianity and the fact that he can't kill himself because he still doesn't want to go to hell and he's just trying to survive. And he needs someone to come like kill him to release him from the nightmare. I love that. It's
interesting. I also, one of the things that I really loved about this game was the use of music. So most of the time there wasn't really any music. I mean, of course, when you saw the dogs and when there were really tense things happening, they would. But for the most part, it was just like ambient noises in the background and then some whispering and all of that. And then they played this really dramatic music when Red was dying. And I love like the use of that. It was great for the emotional piece of that.
It's like the only time in the game you get a real soundtrack. And it's It's great because you never meet Red, but you have this kind of connection with him because he's helping you out, and he's clearly insane. He clearly is like super desperate for you to help him out. He wants nothing more than you to kill him.
I also thought he was in. I didn't realize till right before we did this recording. I was watching a speed run of this game that there was a CB radio near Red's room that he wasn't in the incinerator the whole time. I was like, how is he talking to me in the incinerator?
Yeah, he's got the radio, and I think he's got like a map or something near him too.
Okay, yeah,
and so he's like charting your progress.
Oh, one thing that this is an earlier puzzle, but we didn't mention. I do like the fact that they have the Earth Mover machine that looked like it was from Total Recall that busts through a wall for one puzzle. That made me smile. I like how Total Recall, but I like that part.
I love that Red calls it the Earth-eating monster too. He doesn't know what it is. He's like, you have to find the heart of the Earth-eating monster and put it back so the monster will come alive.
Fucking weird. But I guess it makes sense.
Out of all the character development, that was something I enjoyed. Once again, you have the main character, no character development, and then Red, who all the backstory, learning how he went insane, and then just hearing his insanity as he's calling what is a drill, the earth-moving machine.
Mm-hmm.
This game would have gone. It would have been so much better if they had just voiced the protagonist. Because every time you click on something, it comes up with a little like inner thought that the protagonist is having, where he's like, "Oh, what's this for? Like I don't understand what this is." Like at some point, you find you find the tongue, and you find like a desiccated, dissected spider, and you say like, somebody must have been experimenting on this. But the spider is way too big. And if that was just voiced, it would have given the protagonist so much actual character instead of just nothing.
Yeah.
Even just like a few voice lines, not even on everything you click, but yeah, for that instance or a few others, like it I don't know how many times y'all might have messed up on the generator where the oil and the steam, you're like, all right, well this makes sense. This looks like steam. This looks like oil. Nope, got that wrong.
Would have been so much better. The protagonist should have like
just a damn it or an ugh. Yeah. You know, something like that. But
like him putting the pieces together would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
But granted, this isn't a 2007 PC game, so voice protagonists were not standard yet, sadly.
The silent protagonist. Oh, God.
Sadly, they wouldn't become standard in PC horror games for a very, very, very long time.
Oh, a couple other things one thing I didn't do this
Half-Life.
I know you can do is you can throw the jerky in the last area. You can actually kill the dog. You can like light them on fire with steam or kill them with steam or something.
You throw
I never did it
and like lock the fucking door on them.
How long did it take y'all to figure out that floor steam puzzle?
I just read the guide.
Oh well, damn. Oh, well.
I know I cheat.
I mean, I played this game before, but I mean, I remember the first time I played this game too, and like it takes a bit. You have to stare at it. I mean, you really have to sit there and stare at it and like look at it. But as soon as you notice that the steam is coming out different vents, you can kind of stare and map it and figure out where you need to go.
I might have been standing at the wrong point of view then, because it just kept looking like it was steam. I was like, I can't run across that. And there's no.
You gotta stand in like the far corner. Actually, I think there's a table or something behind you. You can actually jump up on the table too and get a better view.
Oh,
but part of it too is like it goes through 4 cycles. And the first 2 are right next to each other. And then the third one is like several away and you only have like a second to run to it. So the first time I did it, I totally messed up and I didn't realize which floor panel I was on. I got a rude awakening. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, that steam which will rend flesh from bone, as you say earlier, apparently.
It had cool atmosphere. I will say that about this game. I did enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah. I didn't enjoy the gameplay, but I enjoyed the atmosphere.
Now, yeah, it needed a voice protagonist. It needed to be more about hiding and running than fighting. Because Go, Mike, go. You go.
Okay. The part near the end where I was getting really pissed off. So you gotta go across these boards. I'm jumping across these boards, and then you have to grab you make an explosive bottle, and you take the explosive bottle and have to jump back. And I died about 5 times in one part where if you're not supposed to drop off, if you jump, it blows up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I was.
Yeah, I think that you kind of get that early in the game. There's you're making something. Actually, no, it might be on that one too, where like if you mix something together, it says if I move this around, then it's gonna explode.
Yeah, he tells you.
Yeah, and when you're making the dynamite early in the game too, it's like, this will explode if it comes into like hard contact with anything. They set up the idea of explode. I mean, the explosions are really how you solve a lot of puzzles in this game. But
Yeah.
You're in a mine.
Yeah, you are in a mine. That makes sense.
Anyway.
Except you're only finding single things of dynamite at a time. Like every box of dynamite has one stick of dynamite left in it.
Oh, can you light the dynamite and do something with it?
With the light?
Yeah. Use it for puzzles, or you can kill the enemies with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a jerky dynamite person.
You should just if you could duct tape the jerky to the dynamite, that'd be awesome. Make like a dog pipe bomb.
All right. So now that we're kind of on like fighting enemies, how did y'all feel about the whole combat system in general of the click, drag, swing?
It was functional, and that's about it.
I hated it. Maybe I'm not used to PC game, but I would try to move the mouse and I would just fail at hitting things sometimes.
Yeah. This for our listeners, this game was before the idea of pressing a button and something happens. It's almost like there's like indie games today that are trying to replicate what this game does, where you don't just swing a pickaxe. You have to hold down like you have to hold down a mouse button and it goes into like special mode or like actual usable mode. So you're holding the pickaxe, you have to hold down the mouse button, and then you swing the axe with the mouse. It's very odd.
It's terrible.
Like For Honor, Mortal, something like that. Like where you, depending on the direction of the mouse and how you held it, that's the direction that you swing, type thing.
It reminds me of like indie games coming out today, where because we have more control with VR, we're going to games that have like this games on VR now where you have to like reload a gun. You have to actually like pull the safety back, pull up the magazine, put a new magazine in, release the slide lock. Like we're going back to that, but only because we have control over that now. Back in fucking 2007, we had a single mouse.
Well, I don't know how many games you're playing with two mouses, but
yeah. When you play VR with two hand sticks,
okay,
half a controller each for each hand. It's bizarre. And it doesn't. I don't know. Like I never really got into head-on conflicts. I never really got into head-on conflicts with the enemies. Yeah, it's 1930. We're stuck up on Greenland.
Conflict with the word conflict.
Yeah, I'm just in character as a 1930s miner. We gotta swing the pickaxe. Hitler's forces are right over the hill.
I tell you, see.
Watch out!
Oh, what do you guys?
There's a worm.
Then one of the puzzles near the end, the fucking lake. Oh, I was not a happy either on that part. I died so many times trying to get across that lake.
Everything in this game feels easy compared to that fucking generator. That is the most involved puzzle.
Well, I just read, but yeah.
Well, yeah, you just read. The rest of us had
to. I was reading the manual.
Yeah,
but it was like step 1. Second valve, turn to the right, get the secondary valve going, release the pressure from the steam, initiate oil flow, and then all the symbols on that damn thing. You're like, well, this is waves going sideways. Is that steam, water flow, or oil?
It's so
What's
ridiculous.
a teardrop? Is this oil, steam, or water flow?
Or tears.
And now this is tears I was in. And then you had another one. This is steam going upwards. Is this steam? Like,
which squiggly line represents steam? And there was a point where I was like, does the teardrop represent steam? Or is that meant to be grease? I think this teardrop actually ended up being the steam, and the grease ended up being one of the squiggly lines.
Yeah, it was something stupid because
and you have to do that puzzle twice too.
Yep.
If you do it, you like have to, it's a 3-page manual with like 9 steps, and you go through all this, and you're like, well, first you come into a room and there's a box with a giant hole next to this fucking box. It's like barricaded off. So you have to take the pickaxe and break the barricades. You have to know that you can do that. To take the box, and there used to be a machine to open boxes, but the machine is gone. So you have to push the box down the hole so that the box breaks and get the battery, and then come back out and put the battery in the generator, but not in the wrong spot because there's fuses. You have to put it in the other slot that takes batteries, but you don't know which slot is which because they both look the same. You put the battery in, you do the things, you turn on the generator, the fuse blows, you have to go find a fuse, come back, do it all over again, hope it works. It's such an involved puzzle.
Scariest part
I'm so glad that I just played it my way I did.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like that was way more effective than what we did.
I think they're trying to figure out. Well, the good news is that the three of us know how to start a 70-year-old generator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful.
I'm going to
If you're ever
Greenland. I think
trapped
2
in a
months.
mine in Greenland, you'll know what to do.
Yeah,
Well, it was so
wherever
weird. I got this
Chesterfield was,
email the other day from my grandma who died 30 years ago.
Oh, dude. An
And she's
email,
like, "Come
you
to
said.
Greenland." And I was like, Grandma, they didn't even have emails 30. All right, well, sure.
The email's dated 1873.
Every time I get emails from my grandma, it's just about a Nigerian prince.
I was
and
about to make a
it's
joke.
funny.
Say, an email from your grandma that says, "Dear grandson, a Nigerian prince has contacted me and left a bunker in my name. As I have died 30 years ago, I am no longer able to get to the bunker. Please take this operational manual for a generator and go to the bunker.
Trust me.
At the end of the bunker, there will be $1 million US.
Oh man. Oh, can we talk about the Dolly Parton lemon?
The what?
Oh,
In the main cabin. Okay, so there were a couple lemons around the game, but when you're first going to Greenland, you can look on the wall and there's like pictures hanging up, and there's like a picture of Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about.
I had forgotten. Yeah, so like when you're figuring out the controls and like opening things, and you find the flashlight, like underneath your bunk bed, there is a picture of Dolly Parton. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that Dolly Parton was really big in 2007, and
Oh, she's still really big somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Wow. Okay.
doesn't she have a? Oh yeah,
No,
she has her own world. She has Dolly World.
Like 2-3 days ago, she did her
Dollywood
anniversary at the Grand Ole Opry. She's still big at the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. I mean, fucking Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton can fucking rock it on a saxophone. I'm not gonna deny that.
Dolly Parton can play saxophone?
Yeah, you've not heard. Yeah, Dolly Parton plays. She. First of all, sir, I'll have you know, Dolly Parton. I think she's tied with Reba McEntire for like most songs on a #1. At least for like country music, like most #1 songs on Billboard. Huh. Dolly Parton. People actually do love Dolly Parton.
Oh yeah, people get nuts over her.
She's got Dollywood. She's best friends with Graham Norton. I love Graham Norton, so that's why I know this.
Well, that's just an unlikely couple.
It is. But
she's
yeah.
Miley Cyrus's godmother.
Is she really? I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah.
She Cyrus did a good version of Jolene, I guess.
Did Miley Cyrus do Jolene? That's really funny.
Yeah, no, actually, she did a really solid.
Yeah.
I think we might have gotten off track a little bit, guys.
This is just the Dolly Parton podcast now.
We just don't want to talk about this game. I was like, you know what? I don't want to talk about this game, so I'm okay. I'll just sit here and wait.
You know what? Just if you don't believe Dolly Parton can play saxophone, just look up her playing the Benny Hill theme, and she fucking rocks it.
Yeah. Well, Stu's nickname is the Master of Unlocking Ramps, so that's partly it.
The Master. Oh yeah, there's no guns in this game, so I can't go on the gun rant.
With the shitty lake, I did like the stupid reference where you find the guy. There's a frozen hand in the lake holding a crowbar that you need for one thing.
That's when you come across the guy who's frozen and writing out the fucking novel.
Everybody has a pen and paper on them.
Yeah. Well, it's not paper; it's blank notes.
Oh yeah, my apologies.
Oh, we should talk about. We talked about earlier. You get the stupid blank note. You have to hold on to the blank note. Go to a different area. Go in a room. Turn off the light or turn on a light. Something to do with the light. And then all of a sudden you see it looks like we're in The Shining. And there's all this weird writing all over the walls. Yeah. That's how you can read the note. And if you don't do that, which I tried not to, you can't get the code, even though I already had the code because I have a guide to open a door to get to the final area.
And I can't remember if Red wrote that note or if that's because there are other characters in this game that you don't come into direct contact with, but you kind of hear about either through like other notes or whatnot that show up in Black Plague and Requiem. For instance, the spider hater who gets like ripped out of the room and eviscerated, you just find a blood trail leading to a cavern.
I was expecting a lot more from that.
Yeah. He wasn't killed by a dog. He was killed by another character from the second game named Wilbur Frisk. Wilbur Frisk, okay. Yeah. So you don't realize that he's the one that kills him, which I think is interesting. I like that I like that a kill happens in this game that isn't explained till the second. I wish more happened in this game, but I like that one little detail.
Hey, that's how you set up for a sequel.
Yeah. I think the room with all the scribbling, I don't think that was Red's room. I think that was another character whose name is escaping me at the moment, who's a bigger part in the second game, who's like kind of a psychological presence.
Okay, should we talk about the ending of this game then? I think we're getting near that point.
Sure.
Okay, and we talked about it.
Yeah. The non-ending.
That's about correct.
The ending of this game would have been really good if the game itself had more story with the protagonist.
Correct.
Yeah.
And to the viewers that are watching and never played the game, I'm going to recreate the ending. Spoiler. About 5
Nobody's
seconds.
watching.
Yeah. You ready?
Podcast.
Ending. That's
Credits.
Yeah.
It would have been really funny if this game had like the Resident Evil movie credits, so it's just hard, like a hard rock over top of that.
What, it was Mudvayne? I think Mud.
Yeah. Just like you get knocked out. Okay, so you're in a hallway. You're in this long corridor, this underground mine corridor, and the lights start going out towards you. And you can turn your flashlight, and you're walking down, and like there's a bunch of doors they don't open. You get knocked out, and the game ends.
Well, you see the shadowy figure.
You see the shadowy figure, and you get you don't even get knocked out. Like it sounds like it's quite a struggle.
Yeah, there's a thump. There's a 2 to 3 gurgles and scene.
And sing, yeah. And then, yeah, it would have been great if after all that intensity, the very end of the game was just like, yeah! Really needed just like a ridiculous over.
I think the second one is better.
The Black Plague actually explained fairly well what happens to you. And I think it's a far better game because when they made the second game, they thought it was going to be the last one. So they covered all their story in that.
It kind of is the last one.
I love that they start a 3-part series and then give up midway through the second one.
They give up midway. Well, they give up midway through.
Yeah.
Then they do Requiem. And then there's actually like
a mod for Amnesia.
Yeah, there's a mod for Amnesia called Penumbra like Necrologue or something. And that's like a whole different developer fan-made thing, I think. That's just like fans desperate for an ending for the story, which I do like when fans kind of get on board for stuff like that.
Yet we still don't have a Half-Life 3.
No, but actually with Half-Life, there's like a fan-made mod where it kind of ties Half-Life 2 and what's the other games they make? The Portal. It ties like Half-Life 2 and Portal together somewhere out there that I remember playing at some point. I don't remember what it's called, sadly. Somebody go look that up for me.
Didn't know, but
one of our audience go look that up. There's a lot of fan-made mods for. I mean, fucking Christ, there's a shitload of fan-made mods for Half-Life 2 because apparently you can make whatever you want in Gmod.
I made a pinball machine.
I made a sled that didn't sled.
Piece of wood?
Yeah. Okay. Because there was that great Gmod. There's a great Gmod game mode where it's just like downhill sledding and you have to make the fastest sled with just random bullshit. And so I put rocket boosters on it, but as soon as I hit go on it, the rocket boosters broke and spun around in opposite directions. And so I was trying to make a sled and I accidentally made a helicopter.
Oh, well, excellent.
Well, ultimately you won.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, I felt like a winner. I certainly got the highest. That's the goal in sledding, right? Is to get as high as you can.
There's a ramp at the end.
Yeah.
If there's not a ramp at the end, it's not sledding.
When you go down a mountain, the goal is to get higher than the mountain.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why everyone knows the Olympics don't end until they ride the ski lift back up.
I think it's time we move on to it. I got a couple questions, not many, or comments, whatever.
I'm surprised we got any for this game.
I was too. I didn't get many. In one group I posted, I got nothing, not a single comment. And they just ignored me. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
I think it was for the best. I think they knew. Those were the true fans.
This game is sadly kind of forgotten. Maybe not sadly, but this game is somewhat forgotten.
Oh, I'm okay with that.
I've always known the name. That's the thing. I've always known Penumbra. Like
a lot of people who played Amnesia looked up Frictional Games and they're like, "Hey, what else did this people make? Penumbra? What's that?" I'll never play it.
Yeah. I wish I could say that same thing still. I can't. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I hope you're ready to play Black Plague.
Next October. we'll do it.
Next October. All right, we have to wait a whole year. And then we're going to have to wait a whole year after that to play the expansion.
The idea is that you'll forget by the time we get to next year, so I'll bring it up.
Go ahead, write that down.
I think it's the best way to play this game. You need a year to recuperate.
No.
All right. While he's doing that, I got a couple questions, memories, comments I want to read. First, from Christopher Pink. Dudes who did Amnesia did Penumbra first. It was supposed to be a trilogy, but there's only 2 of them and another one-off, which I think is a pretty rad game. You, sir, are wrong. But
no. The one-offs are good. The second game and the one-off are pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one. You'll like.
We wouldn't have the story.
Okay. Yeah. What story? That the man.
How could I possibly explain this story to you if we played the second game? You'd have no idea what's going on.
I'd be okay with that. I still
have
no idea what's going on. I listen to this whole podcast.
This game where nothing happens.
I did learn. This is the second time I learned. If someone dead sends me a letter, do not go there. Just put return to sender. Message unknown.
Just if somebody sends you a letter and they say burn all this shit, burn all that shit. No one is telling you to burn a bunch of shit for a bad reason. No one's, hey, can you go to this? I left you this whole storage room. Can you go and burn everything in there and don't ask any questions? Nothing good happened in that storage room.
When I die, delete my hard drive. I cannot stress this enough. Delete my hard drive. Don't look. Just delete it.
In that situation, you have 2 options: delete the fucking hard drive or call the cops. That's it. That's all you can do, and stay out of it.
I'm dead, so it doesn't matter.
You right.
It's some white people bullshit to be in a horror movie and think, let's go investigate. No, fucking stay out of that shit.
I think
all right.
Drive would be a horror movie.
You better watch out, Helena.
Look, one person dies at Camp Crystal Lake. You go the fuck home.
No, the thing is, 100% of it is Helena. That's the horror. All right, second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
From Josh EP. Stuart could like this one. Amazing series. The second one is excellent and well. Also, there is a podcast by Watch Out for Fireballs. They talk about this game too. So if you want to hear more about this game from people that actually like it, I think they liked it. You can go listen to that too.
Edit out.
I have no idea.
Download this episode and edit out everything Mike and Adam and Helena are saying, and only listen to me.
There will not be a cut of that on here. I promise. I could do it. Not going to happen.
The positive cut. We do a positive cut for every episode. We delete all the negative information. Fallout would just be me saying, it's all right.
All right, a couple more things I want to read. One from a friend of the show who's on the show in the Operation Raccoon City. Whatever fuck it. He said, Michael Hughes, maybe what modern games is it closest compared to? I guess Amnesia.
Amnesia. Yeah, hands down Amnesia.
This game is 100% the skeleton of Amnesia. This is, right down to, I thought my sound was off on my iPod. Well, it is, so I don't know how that notification sound popped up. Whatever. This game is like beat for beat. Realistically, if you play this game and Amnesia back to back, it is beat for beat the same game. It's just that Amnesia has more story in it. They've just figured out the atmosphere better.
Amnesia. Why'd you pick this shit?
I almost pick Amnesia. A good game. I almost picked Amnesia, and I thought people haven't played Penumbra. We should do that because that's like the predecessor.
It's a good thing if you haven't played Penumbra.
It's important to know the history. It's important to know where you came from.
Is it?
Because look, if you play Penumbra and then you play Amnesia, you have more respect for Amnesia because of it.
Oh, absolutely. And while playing this, I thought every time, once again, like 12 years ago, what would I have thought about this game? Like, where would my mindset be? Because it's a different generation of graphics. It's new style. It's new sound. This is a new thing. Like, where would my mind been 12 years ago? And it was probably going to be like the first time I played Amnesia. I was scared. I was dead. And then, Amnesia numbed me for a bit. And then I played Outlast. And then once again, there it was. There's that fear. And so what's going to be the next Outlast or Penumbra?
The next Outlast is just the head developer of Frictional Games comes to your house and punches you in the dick. The next version of that.
They legitimately cut off your pinky finger. And then
in the middle of the night, they cut off your pinky finger and send it to you, and that's when you notice you're missing a finger.
Game of the year. Done.
And you have a heart attack and die.
And then there's a letter from your dad.
Yeah, 30 years from now. son, don't read this, but in 30 years, you're going to get your pinky cut. This is stupid.
In 30 years, your own pinky gets sent to you in the mail.
Oh shit.
All right, last thing I want to read.
That sounds like a movie. Like there's a new horror game out there that's killing people.
Getting the
pinky
so
scary.
Back, you know?
They should do that. I mean, I guess that's basically The Ring, but they haven't done The Ring with video games yet. I feel like that'd be it'd probably be a really shitty movie, but I feel like that'd be a good, crappy movie. There's a game out there that's killing people, and you can only find it on the dark web. Oh. Everyone who plays it dies. It's so scary.
You know, in about 2 years,
and only like
just made $1 million off of you saying that, right?
Yeah, and like the only person that can stop the game is like Jodie Foster or something.
Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone and Jodie Foster together at last.
Oh my god! Amazing. That's the duo I never knew that I wanted.
It's Joey Fatone from his days in NSYNC and Jodie Foster from Silence of the Lambs as Clarice.
All right, I think I need to take.
You've got to get the boys back together, Joey.
Right. So this my. If I could mute you, I would, but I can't. We're not we don't have physical mics. We're not next to each other. I would mute you. I would just like click. All right, from Jarek Leffler. I got this in the first ever Humble Bundle. I have never heard of it before, but it quickly became my favorite of the bunch. If anyone has this out in the Humble Bundle to actually listen to the episode, I say delete it off your hard drive. Never play it. Oh, sorry. But I say play it. Try it.
I would also ask what other games came in that Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Better games.
You know, I'm just glad the money went for a good cause.
I would say, again, in this game's defense, until like 2 years ago, this game was still better than pretty much every Steam greenlit horror game that was out there. There's a lot of indie horror games that are just trash. Until like 2 or 3 years ago, they started getting really good all of a sudden. For some reason, they started getting really good. But up to that point...
I was going to say, I'm not a video game programmer or anything like that, but I feel like maybe this kind of style of game is easier to make because there's not a lot of programming goes into it, you know? Like you have simple mechanics.
It's certainly more difficult to make than like SPC or whatever that series is called. Is it SPC where it's like the Slenderman, like it's like the precursor to like the Slenderman games? Like this game is certainly better than every Slenderman knockoff game where it's just jump scares left or right. Like there was
except Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, that kind of like transcended the genre that it was in.
Yeah. When you think about like Granny or the Krabby Patty SpongeBob one, or
there's a lot of again until like 3 years ago there were so many bad horror games out there, and I don't know if it's just like the age of horror for video games. Like if we're suddenly getting a lot of good shit, like especially in indie stuff, we started getting like Edith Finch, which is kind of a horror game.
Yeah, that's a good game.
It's a great game. Good and now game. We got like Until Dawn, and now what's the new one? Man of Medan. Like suddenly
Until Dawn. So
Layers of Fear out there.
Layers of Fear. Underrated.
There's a lot of good horror games all of a sudden, but it's like it's just started happening, which is great for me. But before these games happened, I only had Penumbra.
So favorite horror game of all time?
Of all time. My favorite horror game of all time in 2007. That's a lie because Resident Evil was out by then. But my favorite PC only horror game in 2007, maybe.
Okay.
All right. We're going to go to Shelf or Box. Helena, do you want to go first?
You already know my
no, what are you doing?
Yeah. That's my noise.
There you go. Interesting review.
Yes. Trash. Is trash an option?
Yes, an option. Hey, we took the Street Fighter movie, threw it in a box and burned it. Someone did. So whatever you want to do.
I put that on my shelf. Maybe I just have bad taste.
Yes, you do.
I'm dead inside.
No, I mean, it was, okay. So, like,
so far, Helena's review is bad and
decreasingly verbose. I guess it started a really good trend of gaming, so I can respect it in that aspect. But I think it is best left in the past where it belongs.
Much like letters from Dad.
Yes. Letters from Dad.
Or letters from a wife you killed. But
sounds like a webcomic.
Someone gets that reference. A lot of people do, I think.
Did you kill your wife?
I will know
did not get them.
Did your dad and then write you a letter about it 30 years later?
She's not responding to my text because she's sleeping, I think. But no, she's very much alive.
She's been sleeping for so long.
For 30 years?
So sleepy.
I'm just so tired.
Yeah, that's
so I assume. Okay, so I assume it's going in the box or the garbage, one or the other.
Okay. I retract what I said. Don't throw it away. Put it on a high shelf where you respect that it came from your childhood a long time ago and that it paved the way for all your games, but you don't ever dust it or really take care of it.
So it's like an actual letter from Dad that you have.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go next. I think it's safe to say, 1, I never want to play this game again. 2, I never want to play this game in the first place, but I did. I did beat this in almost one day. Like, I just couldn't stop playing. Not because I was enjoying myself, but because I'm like, if I beat it, I don't have to play it again. If I beat it, I don't have to load it up again. I'm done. I'll be done. I was going crazy like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, but I beat it. I played through it. It was an experience. I mean, I can't even really say I'm happy that I played it, even though it. I mean, as we're talking about it, I'm just like, oh man, this game. I just keep shaking my head and just did not like it. It's not a bad game. I will say that. It's not my kind of game, and I don't like horror games. Like, I cannot wait for Spooktober for us to be over because I want to play something happy and friendly. I'm tired of horror. And anytime you make me jump in a first-person game, I'm already angry.
That's like the only horror game
I'm looking at you. Well, Soul Reaver didn't count.
Friday the 13th on NES was not a horror game.
It was to me.
I was gonna say I remember actually getting scared by that when I was really young. Also, the Friday the 13th NES game actually gave me nightmares for a solid 3 months. But once again, that
is surprising. I think the last game that we played that was like actually stressful to me was Pikmin. No, not even Clock Tower.
Pikmin is a horror game.
Pikmin is the biggest horror game we've played so far.
All right, this game is going in the box. I never want to look at it again. I never want to play anything else again. It sounds like I will be playing something else again in the series, but I'm good if I didn't know it existed before, and I'm okay, good. I'm very okay with forgetting that it exists and just moving on with my life. So in the box.
Got Penumbra Black Plague written down for October 2020.
Yeah, I hope you forget that. All right, how about you, Adam?
Getting it tattooed on my wrist.
Like Helena and everything, I respect where the game came from. I love if I put myself in the shoes 12 years ago and think about innovations, where it was going, where I was as a child, how the game scared me, it is an absolute must play. The thing is 12 years ago, I was a lot younger, a lot stupider. I'd have to Google every 5 words that I read in a journal. It's definitely in the box. Like it not worth playing. There's so many other games out there that this game's built off of and learned from. And while we have to respect our elders and where we came from, sometimes it's good just to put Granddad in the home and never talk to him again.
Oh my God.
Oh God. That was the funniest thing in this entire episode. You know, it was worth it just for that joke. It was worth it that I suffered for 5 hours.
Poor old Granddad.
How about you, Stu? Shelf or box?
For almost the
I'm gonna get a
exact
soda
same
or something. You know, when you talk.
Yeah, for almost the exact. This isn't going to be too long for this game. For almost the exact same reasons, I'm going to put this on my shelf. I think this is a very important game because it kind of started the. If you like horror games now, this is a very important game because it led to a bunch of knockoff horror games. A bunch of people realized you could do like easy horror on PC. And if that was your cup of tea, then 2007 to 2012 was the fucking golden age for you. And like when Frictional basically used this as a skeleton to make Amnesia, that started like a whole nother golden age of better PC games. And then Soma, and then from that like style of game, we got Outlast and a shitload of great horror games that started coming out. So I think if you like PC horror games, I think you have to respect Penumbra for kind of setting up that skeleton that they're all based off of. I quite enjoy this because I like going back and playing games. I like going back and playing like the earliest version, like seeing the earliest version of things. Like people will tell me to watch TV shows, and they always get mad at me for not wanting to watch like the last episode of an anthology show. I'll have to go back into the beginning because I like to see where things came from and how they progressed. So for me personally, this is going on my shelf. It's like the prototype to all the great games that I play today.
Okay.
And
Fair.
I knew you had positive things to say. That's why I had you go last. Because I
always have positive things to say about games.
I
I am very forgiving when it comes to.
So when are we
games
playing
and movies and
Banjo-Tooie?
books.
When is Banjo-Tooie going to be on the list?
I had nice things to say about Banjo-Kazooie.
When are we going to play Conquers live and
I
Reloaded?
enjoyed the music.
Yo.
I enjoyed the pretty colors.
I can't just ignoring my comment. He hates Conquers. He already told me if I put Conquers on, he's done.
I am not going to play Conquers.
All right,
Conquers
how do
is
you
just
hate Conquers?
It's just so over the top stupid.
Exactly. This game was so over the top garbage, but yet you're giving. At least there's a giant singing pile of shit in this game, and we know it.
They were trying to do horror for this game, and I can respect that. Conquers, they weren't trying to make a funny game. They were just like, put shit jokes in there.
Yeah,
it's like the Sharknado of games, where it's like they were being intentionally bad.
And all right, Sharknado is fantastic. So once again, we're on
Sharknado, the first one. It was certainly an event. And the fact that it was an event is why I enjoyed it. The movie itself and the rest of them are just fucking garbage.
Yeah.
But you have to think, oh my God.
That's the case with all like Asylum movies. Like they don't try. They're just like, do the dumbest thing. And I appreciate some people like that. It's not for me.
All right, Stuart, after this conversation, me and you were going to talk because where the Nintendo 64 was and when Conquer came out and what it did was bigger than South Park.
I appreciate that, but I would much rather, I will forever more thoroughly enjoy a bad thing that people attempted to make good than a good thing that was intentionally bad, if that makes sense. Any Asylum film it's a movie by the loosest definitions that they weren't trying on, that they were trying to just like, fuck it, we'll just put whatever biggest, dumbest thing in there. We're not going to try. And I appreciate that some people like that, but I would much rather watch a shitty B movie that they legitimately tried on and failed in every aspect.
But you have a great platforming game, solid controls.
Well, solids, let's say liquid controls.
It was the same controls as Donkey Kong 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. It was a rare game. It was the same
one of
engine.
those is a good game.
So if you're talking about
I don't know if I'd throw Banjo-Kazooie in with good controls.
Oh my God.
That's the thing, though. At the time,
I don't know.
but it's a rare game. It was done by Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie. And then you had those two cutie games, and then out of right field, Conker's Bad Fur Day. They took one of their cutest mascots, woke him up with a hangover, had no idea what he's doing.
Again, I appreciate that. But when you start having like just a long ass fight with a giant turd, the idea of that is very funny, but that gets old to me very quickly.
No, it wasn't. First off, it was an experience. It wasn't a fight. There's an opera. There's an opera that you're witnessing during that. All right, first off,
and it's a whole you have to sit through like a whole fucking opera.
Yeah,
I can sing the song if you like.
It's like a 10-minute song.
He's the great mighty. He's going to throw his shit at you.
I get it. And if that was it, I would think that was hilarious. But it's like 10 minutes of it. It's like, all right, I get it. You're a shit. After the first 30 seconds, the idea of it being a shit stops being funny.
All right, how about deflowering?
So if we ever do Conquerors, I know who to bring back on the show.
Conquerors might be...
And I will voice every character for y'all during that.
It's very rare that I will not put a game on my shelf. I think Conker's will not go on my shelf. I am very forgiving when it comes to games, but I don't know if I don't know. I don't know.
Pop culture references, crude humor, actually a very solid.
No. You can't say pop culture references because then like the fucking like movie 43 is a good movie by that standard because that's all references. Like epic movie, that movie is nothing but references.
Yeah, all right. I hate to agree with you on this one, but I'm gonna. All right. I'm nodding my head silently at you. Okay, a good point proven, but
we can all argue there's like 3 funny things that happen in those movies, maybe. In each movie, they might have like 3 jokes that land. Like Vampires Suck is like, okay, yeah, there's like 3 things in this that I legitimately laughed at, but at the end of it, it's like, I get it. This movie came out in this year. I understand. Pirates of the Caribbean is a thing. I get it.
I think it's time that I'm going to take over and wrap this up.
Yes.
First, I want to say, Helena, Adam, you guys have anything you want to plug since you're our guest?
I
know.
If you're ever at the wharf in Washington, D.C., Southwest Waterfront, come visit me at Tiki T&T at Potomac Distilling Company.
I think I've been there, actually.
What?
Yeah. I used to live in D.C.
Yeah. So I'm one of the bar managers at Potomac Distilling Company, Tiki T&T.
Okay.
We make our own rums. All of our bars have indoor and outdoor sections. Fantastic. I'm there. And I don't know, get drunk, puke on my bar, and let me hate you.
Yeah,
so I know you're going to Washington, D.C., aren't you soon, Stu? Coming up here?
I'm in D.C. all the time. I was just in D.C. like a couple weeks ago.
Okay, that's what I thought it wasn't that long ago.
No, in November I'm going to New York.
Okay.
I travel.
You can go meet DJ somewhere, wherever he is in New York.
I'm gonna be pretty fucking busy in New York because I got Hamilton tickets. Suck it. Suck it, everybody.
All right. I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode. If you like this episode, you won't find others like this because normally we play games that aren't terrible that I want to gouge my eyes out while I'm playing.
Usually when we play good games like Operation Raccoon City.
Okay. Raccoon City was a better game than this shit.
No,
I enjoyed it more.
I
know it wasn't, but I enjoyed it more.
This game was doing something new. Raccoon City was like aggressively mediocre.
Raccoon City made me happy when I played it back in 2012. When I played it as an adult, I was an adult back then. When I played it recently for the show, I was like, oh God, why did I pick this shit? But hey, I had good memories. But okay, you can find more episodes like wherever you got the podcast. Please spread us like the T-Virus. So if you know someone that likes video game humor podcasts, spread us along.
Or spread us like the Tomb Raider infection, which we'll talk about in a year's time when we play the second game.
Yeah, sure we will. Okay. And I also want to say, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I'm usually posting images of the upcoming game. This was one hard game to post images for. I got to say that I could not really find screenshots that did this game justice.
You should have just posted screenshots from like Amnesia. It's like
should have posted screenshots of the Great Mighty Pooh and be like, look at how shitty Penumbra is.
Great Mighty Pooh. Listen to our Penumbra episode.
That might work. Okay, and our awesome intro came courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP "Bite the Bullet." The song "Cool Kid Squad." I fuck that up every time. All right, thank everybody for listening. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next
and we
week.
Should say, you're not confused if you're a standard listener. We are not announcing next week's game yet.
Completely forgot that we were just gonna. Because normally I always have written down, but since if anyone's still here. If you're still here, hi. Yes, we're going to do a special Halloween game for next week, and we are not going to announce it till the day of when you see the episode. So, but there will be some hints on the Facebook and Instagram.
We'll be releasing clues, and I don't know. I guess we could probably give a hint now too. Little hints. Sure. It is a horror game because it's going to be the finale of our Spooktober events, and it's a game from our humble beginnings.
Okay. And I'll put that down in your notebook, guys. Write that down. You sit down in our thinking chair and think. All right, everyone have a wonderful night. I will see you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Play Amnesia.